Okay. All right. So again, my name's Tom Fabian, and let me tell you a little bit about our English electives, okay? Hello? Just to inform folks who are dropping in, this meeting is being recorded. Okay, so I want to tell you a little bit about our English 9th grade electives. All of these courses that I'll tell you about today are available to 9th graders to sign up for when they sign up for their courses in February. Well, it is February. No, it's not. It's March as of tomorrow, right? So as they begin to sign up for courses, these are all the courses that they can sign up for. Again, my name's Tom Fabian, and I teach most of the journalism courses. That's why I'm here speaking with you this evening. If you have any questions about those journalism courses when I'm done here, please feel free to reach out to me through email if something occurs to you later, or you want to know about the systems of the school newspaper. I'm certainly here to answer those questions. Questions about anything involving English, you can certainly put to Melissa Dilworth, our department chair, and she would be happy to answer those. So there are 3 English electives that students can take in their first semester of their freshman year. I'll tell you about those first, and then tell you a little bit about the way our school newspaper works and how students can even do that as 9th graders, but they'll have to wait for the second semester for that. Okay. There are 3 English 9th grade electives. They are the Write On course. I'll explain to you what that is in just a second. A speech course, which is obviously, pretty self-explanatory, and the journalism courses, which I'm very excited to speak about because I'm the journalism teacher. Write On. Well, before I get into the actual content of the courses, there are a few things that they all have in common. And one of the biggest is that the take-home assignments for each one of those courses are fairly minimal. The idea is that all 9th graders take an English course already. They take their regular grade 9 English course, and they will have plenty of reading and writing homework to do for that course. So we don't want to overload students with their writing. They're going to be writing about Romeo and Juliet. They're going to be writing about whatever else their teacher assigns them in their 9th grade course. So in my journalism course, I don't want to pile on the writing because they're already doing a lot of that. So there's sort of minimal homework on that end. We do a lot of writing in journalism, but we do a lot of it in class, and we do a lot of it pretty fast. I'll explain all that. A couple other things we really aim for in the 9th grade elective curriculums, and that's to build some of the social skills that we know students need to be successful as high school students. The elective courses are often pretty low stakes, and so they sort of allow for an environment in which students can learn some of those soft skills that they need in order to be successful in school and to make some friends and to be able to talk to their teachers and get along well. Excuse me. And hopefully in doing that, they kind of find a place to be in the high school. North's an awfully big place. And to be able to sort of use these courses as some ways to find your niche and to form community at North can be a really good thing. I think I'm here tonight with Dea Ponce, who is the editor-in-chief of our school newspaper, co-editor-in-chief of our school newspaper. And I think she'll speak a little bit to that idea of community a little bit later on. Okay, so the Write On course is a course really designed for that student who needs a little bit of a boost in their writing as a 9th grader. Students come into the 9th grade, immediately get signed up for 9th grade English. And for some students, that becomes kind of a lift to begin reading and writing at the ninth grade level, with, certainly a lot of support, but maybe not quite the same supports that were available in middle school. Maybe not quite the same level of scaffolding that they saw in middle school. Right On hopefully bridges some of the gap for those students, particularly students having trouble just getting started writing. We give students a lot of strategies to think about how to get going, how to organize their thoughts, how to create a thesis, how to develop a paragraph, so that those high school writing assignments that they might be encountering for the first time aren't quite so intimidating to them. We also teach in that course, it's a single semester course. So it's not the kind of thing students might feel like trapped in for the whole year. But we teach some mechanics and grammar and conventions so that, students have a way of sort of cleaning up their writing, so to speak. It is really not a course designed for that student who really likes to write and wants to get some more writing experiences. We have some other places for those kids. There can certainly be doing some of that in their English classes, and there's a creative writing course that they can take later on. I'd certainly welcome them in my AP language and composition course. This is really for a course for a student who really feels that need for that little bit of extra support in sort of a general education way, for their writing course. Okay. So it's certainly not seen as remedial, but it is sort of seen, I think the best word I can find for it is kind of giving students a little bit of a boost. The speech course is, you as you might assume, is a course in public speaking. It's actually called public speaking now in the opportunities book. And it is another just great course for entering ninth graders. Students are often asked on a regular basis to do presentations for all of their classes in high school: English and history and science and math and foreign language. All of those courses, they have to make presentations. And so learning the skill of public speaking is pretty vital. And so if there's any doubt, it's a great course to take to build the confidence to be able to do that work. And it builds confidence in some really good ways. It teaches speaking as a skill. It's breaks down into things like volume and pace and pronunciation and projecting your voice, and all those things can be taught. And so the idea that this is a skill and not just something you're just good at, I think really comes through. It's also a fun course. I've taught it. A number of other teachers have. People, I think, like to teach it because it's a course in which you build a lot of community. Kids have a lot of fun. You do a lot of sort of silly things, all these various sort of speech exercises and voice exercises, which a lot of kids kind of just find sort of silly and funny. It's pretty low stakes. And so kids often leave speech seeing it as just a place where they had a lot of fun and met a lot of kids. But again, it provides a sort of very important skill that kids can use, all the way, to senior year and beyond. So with those two ideas, those two courses, before I move into journalism, because I can talk a lot about journalism, I just wanted to stop for a minute and ask if there were any questions about speech or Write On. And feel free just to shout questions out. It's you have to do that thing with the raising the hand. Any questions about speech or Write On? Great. Now I can talk about journalism. So in journalism, we really stress writing for publication. And so there's really a couple things that we do there. But wait, our other co-editor-in-chief has joined us. Say hi, Savannah.
Hello, I'm Savannah. I was sort of on another meeting and then it got canceled, so I'm back. Hello.
Wait, no hockey practice tonight?
No, it was another Zoom.
Oh, okay.
That was earlier.
All right. Okay. So again, the idea is writing for publication in journalism, which I find to be a really important skill for freshmen to learn. And I'll come clean and say, a lot of what I try to teach in journalism are the skills that students will need when they join the school newspaper, and I want them all to join the school newspaper. But in terms of just the sort of basics of what they do, I think it's helpful for students at sort of every level, no matter what they're doing. In terms of writing, the whole idea of writing for an audience and writing for clarity and writing succinctly and getting information, factual information across as clearly and as efficiently as you can is I think, a welcome relief for some students and a really good lesson in writing for others. A lot of the academics writing that students do, in which they're trying to explain themselves, trying to explain difficult concepts in writing. Sometimes they get sort of lost in the weeds of the idea that, wait, I meant to say this as clearly as I can, and not to impress anyone, but so that they know exactly what I'm thinking and exactly what I mean. And I think writing for journalism really helps students to do that. So rather than sort of say like the 5-paragraph essay form, students are learning to write single sentence paragraphs of the kind that you'd read in the newspaper. And so really getting facts across and making sure that things are really clear is just a super important writing skill that frankly, I don't know that we stress enough in school. We certainly stress it in journalism. The other piece of that, the news gathering, yes, it's great to go out and do your reporting and make sure that you have your facts straight and making sure that you have people's names spelled right and all the rest of those sorts of things. However, it also teaches you to go out and ask questions and not be afraid to ask a question. In the beginning, in the very first week of their very first year at the high school, we ask students to go out and interview kids, and that can be scary and that can be intimidating if you're interviewing some senior who's in charge of a club and suddenly you're stopping them in the hallway and trying to buttonhole them for a question. That's a little intimidating, and it develops a whole lot of confidence once you start to not to be afraid to do that. And our kids get ready to do that right away. So those two things, that level of confidence and that sort of level of clarity in writing, to me, those are the big things. Those are the things that I really look for in the course. Students write news, they write sports, they do an arts review, they try to sell an ad, so they go knock on the door of a business. They try to write things that are a little more complicated in features. We try to explain law and ethics in journalism to get students to be smart consumers of media. All these things are what are taught in journalism. On top of that, we do a little bit of copy editing, so students take a critical eye toward their own work, and we play around a little bit with InDesign software, which a lot of students find fun, and I don't claim to be an expert at, and sometimes they're teaching me some of that stuff. So that's journalism in a nutshell. Now, students who complete the journalism course, which is a semester course, meet the prerequisite to take advanced journalism. And advanced journalism is our fancy course name for being on the school newspaper, for being part of the editorial board of our school newspaper, for being on the staff of the newspaper. And being on the staff of the school newspaper is itself a semester course. Students, when they sign up for the newspaper, they are fit into a 3-block course like any other. But what's great about these 3 blocks for this course is that they can fit anywhere in the schedule. It kind of runs all day. You can be part of the newspaper all day. You're earning course credit. You're showing up to class 3 times a week, like for any other class, but you can kind of fit it in anywhere, which works out for a lot of students. I'm going to let my editors-in-chief speak a little bit to the Newtonite and what they do there. And I think that'll give you a better understanding than anything that I can say.
So yeah,
Take it away.
Yeah. So you learn all of these fundamentals of journalism writing in the journalism course, stuff like where to go for interviews, who to interview, ethical guidelines, all of that. And then once you finish your semester of journalism, you apply that to newspaper, the New at Night. You have a designated block if you sign up for the course. Essentially, basically a time where you can do all of your work, and it's not a kind of like teacher instructional, it's more you do your own thing, what you have to do. The senior editors of the paper will sometimes tell you what to write about, or you can go out and find your own story. It's very loose in that sense, but it is more responsibility in terms of when you have to get articles done by, kind of like how much time you dedicate, because we're there for quite a bit. If you're really dedicated to it, you'll catch yourself there after school for sometimes hours on end. But it's really fun because we're a whole community, and it's great to have each other to fall back on because it is a student-run paper. And if you do have a question about anything, you ask somebody that's near you. And I mean, we all have fun together and it's really cool. So we all encourage you to join.
Yes, the newspaper is awesome. It's a lot of fun. You get a lot of very good skills that you use for, your all through life, and all through high school. A lot of the skills are communicating and reaching out to people and approaching people that may be, super important, talking to the principal and feeling confident to reach out to them, to kind of maybe annoy them and bother them until they talk to you, if they're not always as willing, and to be able to just talk to other people, communicate, get in people's faces, and then turn what you get from them into these concise news stories or art stories or sports stories or features. And it's a lot of very fun skills. It's also good skills. It's also, as Dea said, it's a lot of fun. We get very close as a paper. We get very close kind of inter-class. So between sophomores and freshmen and juniors and seniors, there's people of all grades at all places in the paper. There's people who are brand new, who are juniors, or people who are just started as freshmen or have been on the paper for a while. And we're all working away at it. And there's all sorts of different things you do. So it's a really good time.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Does anyone have any questions about journalism, about the newspaper, about really anything at all having to do with ninth grade electives? Going once, going twice. Well, folks, I could only encourage you to try to have your students take journalism, and certainly to join the school newspaper. As the students say, it is really a place where students form community. I think there are a lot of places at North where students can do that. I've just always been really pleased to be to do my little part in creating a place for students to find a home at North. It is a big place. There's no getting around that. And the one thing I can encourage all of you who have entering students to think about is some way of finding a place to sort of call home at North. Again, my favorite, of course, is the New at Night, but there are a lot of places for that to happen. And so I think it's just an important thing to encourage your students to do, to find a place where they can to sort of follow their interests and form some community around that. So one last time, any other questions about anything we talked about here tonight? Well, okay, then I thank you all for coming, and I appreciate you sort of sticking it out with us this evening, and I hope this evening was helpful to you and informational to you. Again, if you have any questions about English, send those along to Melissa Dilworth. Any questions about journalism, send them on to me, and certainly we're here to help you anytime. All right. Thank you very much for coming today. Good night. Day and Savannah, if you could stay on for a minute. Margaret, can I help you with a question?